A friend of mine likes to keep reminding everyone that Australia has a green government. Well, one green government in its smallest territory, and they're the junior party in a coalition with the Labor Party. But we tend to forget that the Australian Capital Territory government is a Labor-Green coalition. And since the Greens are not an environmental party, but a party whose policies reflect very far-left socialist ideas more generally, it's pretty scary stuff for people like us who believe in liberalism. And we got a taste of just how big the government's powers under a Labor-Green coalition government can get this week, when the fundamental golden rule of liberal democracy, the right to own property and have those rights securely protected under the law, was, well, just kind of run roughshod over. The ACT government is doing a forced takeover of the Calvary Public Hospital, which is run by the Catholic Church. The church has run the hospital for 44 years, and the lease was for 120 years. But the ACT Minister for Health, Rachel Stephen-Smith, wants to consolidate public hospitals to create a single network, which she says, quote, will allow us to better coordinate our health services, distribute resources more effectively, strengthen the capacity of our workforce, plan infrastructure on a territory-wide basis, and improve health outcomes. She wants to take it over, knock it down, and build a bigger public hospital on the Calvary site. The problem with governments doing stuff like this is that it sends a very bad message to anyone else who has a lease to run something. And this is something left-wing and socialist governments all around the world don't understand when they take stuff over and try to run it themselves. When you do that, nobody else trusts you ever again to keep your word. And trust is core to how our free market economy works. And property rights are core to how liberal democracies survive. You might remember that we had a segment on the show a couple of weeks back looking at how historians believe that a major reason that some of history's greatest empires collapsed was a lack of faith in property rights. That's all it took. If people don't know what belongs to them and can have confidence that if they invest their money and their brains and their blood, sweat and tears into that for a few years, that it's still going to be theirs later on when it all pays off. If they can't have that confidence, they'll stop bothering. And this is why this is so bad. There wasn't much consultation. There wasn't any reason given by the Chief Minister of the Australian Capital Territory. It was just a case of, sorry, we'll be taking that and running it better. Thank you. It's quite troubling stuff, and the federal government does need to step in and put the ACT government, which, let's face it, is little more than a city council, back in its place. Opposition leader Peter Dutton says that as a federal territory, the Commonwealth does have the power to step in and override. Anthony Fisher, who's the Catholic Archbishop of Sydney, has also called on Albo to step in to protect religious freedom and reassure all religious organisations that have contracts for aged care and health services that those contracts won't just be ripped up on a whim. And the chair of the Calvary Hospital Task Force, Father Tony Percy, wrote that, quote, no Australian likes to be dispossessed of their land and property. No Australian likes their contract ripped up unilaterally. One of the most significant reasons why Australia is a free and fair nation is because of our property rights, which ensure stability. Bingo. What's even more laughable is that the government has enough trouble running the Canberra Public Hospital very well, let alone taking over a second one. If you enjoyed that content, there's lots more where that came from. The Other Side Australia is back every Tuesday and Friday on ADH TV and all good podcast platforms. It's your weekly short circuit summary of the best news commentary from Australia and abroad. Don't miss it.